Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first installment of Hilton at Home. This is a new project that is an endeavor to keep the arts part of our lives during this crazy pandemic that we're all living through. And we're all feeling starved and lonesome and eager to get back into the theater and on the stage and to see you all and to hear you all and to be acting out our mission, which, if you've ever heard anything that I've had to say publicly, you know that it all boils down to four little words: the arts create community. I call that the world's shortest elevator speech, and it is something that means so much to all of us at the Hylton Center and to all of us who work in the arts. I'm Rick Davis. I'm the executive director of the Hilton Performing Arts Center and also the dean of the College of Visual and Performing Arts. And it is my great privilege to bring you this inaugural installment of Hilton at Home, a program that we will be continuing throughout the summer and who knows what beyond. It's a real opportunity to showcase our fine resident arts organizations and to really make the strength and power of the arts community in Manassas and Prince William County and beyond part of our lives. Our guest tonight on this inaugural edition is, corporately speaking, the Manassas Chorale, one of the great arts partners of the Hylton Center, one of the founding partners, and represented tonight by several short, wonderful musical selections on tape, of course, and represented live in person by Becky Verner. Becky, come join me in the studio.
Thank you.
Look at that.
It's great to be with you tonight.
Popped right up. I'm going to say a word or two about Becky at the risk of embarrassing her, and then Becky, I'll ask you a couple of questions to get you started, and we'll tell the story of the Manassas Chorale. But for those of you who don't know Becky, she is, and that'd be an interesting question to poll this audience. Who among you knows Becky? I bet there's a lot watching who do. You've worked under her baton or been part of her congregation or something. She's an institution in the Manassas area, partly because she's a native of Manassas, graduate of Osborne High School. She went away to college to East Carolina University, where she received a Bachelor of Music Education, and then did further graduate work in church music at Shenandoah University. She's a member of the American Guild of Organists, the American Choral Directors Association, the Choristers Guild, and is serving on two committees at the state level for her denomination. She helps plan annual all-state choirs and a music and arts camp. She is a musical phenomenon. She's a pianist, an organist, a singer, a choral director, and a handbell director. And that's a lot. She's been on staff at Manassas Baptist Church for over 4 decades. She's been the artistic director of the Manassas Chorale for 23 years. She's married to Dan Verner, a retired English teacher and prolific author. And they have 2 married daughters, Amy and Alyssa. So welcome, Becky Verner, to our pseudo studio. You're at home and I'm at home, and so is everybody watching us.
Thank you. It's great to be here tonight and appreciate the opportunity to share about the chorale this evening.
Well, thanks for joining us. I'd like to structure this evening in 3 acts, basically. Organize a little bit around the 3 selections that you've brought us, but there's a 3-part story to tell about the Manassas Chorale also. And the first part has to do with the long history, the deeply entrenched roots of the chorale in the community, and that's, of course, related to its mission. And then I'd like you to talk a little bit about the growth of the chorale under your leadership, but also over these last 10 years as a resident ensemble of the Hilton Performing Arts Center, and then we'll get into some other trouble before we hear that first selection. But where did it all begin?
Well, it all began at Grace United Methodist Church in September of 1994. With about 20 to 25 singers. I remember the summer before it got started, I gave a whole list of singers and a suggestion for an accompanist to Reverend Jack Martin, who was pastor of the church, but also had a music degree from Westminster Choir College, as did his wife, Mary Ann. I was not able to sing with the group that year because I was teaching piano on Tuesday nights, but I helped quite a bit in getting things started with a list of people that they could contact. And a lot of those people joined the group that year, and Jill Tomlinson was the first accompanist. The group that year had 20 to 25 singers and performed 2 concerts at the church. After 3 years, Jack Martin decided that it just took too much time to try to direct the group and be a local pastor as well. And so at that point, I started directing the group. After 1 year and 6 weeks, we had to move to Manassas Baptist to have a larger room for the number of singers that the chorale had attracted. It was 40 some at that time. And we've been at Manassas Baptist since then. The group has grown now to over 100 singers.
Fantastic.
We perform 4 concerts each year in Manassas at the Hylton Center, October, December, March, and either late May or early June. We've also been asked to perform in Colonial Williamsburg as part of the Candlelight Concert Series at Bruton Parish Church. And if we get to do that in December, and I'm not sure we will, but it would be close to 20 years that we've been performing down there. We love going to Colonial Williamsburg and taking our December concert there. And we got a wonderful compliment when we were there this past year. The lady that was the docent that night and tells a little bit of the history of the church told several of our singers that she chooses the concerts that she's going to be a docent for, starting with our concerts. It is her favorite concert of the year. And that says a lot because they host over 100 concerts a year. And we love to perform out in the community. We have sung at churches, for civic clubs, at assisted living facilities, lots of places that we're asked to sing at, and for lunches, dinners, things that raise money for animals that are in distress. So we've done an animal rescue fundraiser, which netted over $10,000. And so it's been our privilege to do that. We've also sung for the groundbreaking for a home for a wounded warrior. And then we asked to come back when they presented the keys to his house to him.
Beautiful.
So lots of interesting things like that. And the last 10 years, we have been at the Hilton Performing Arts Center. It was our thrill to be part of the dedication of that facility, and we've been there ever since. I remember the first time I stepped out on the stage before the facility was finished, and we all just, our mouths dropped at how beautiful it was. And every time I'm on the stage, I'm still struck by that, how blessed we are to have such a wonderful facility in Manassas.
Well, the community of which the Manassas Chorale is such a vital part is the reason that the Hylton Center is a beautiful theater. It was designed expressly for to allow organizations like the Manassas Chorale to look and sound great. And because of that, it also allows professional musicians to sound great and touring artists from all over the world. But you and your brother and sister organizations in the community were the guiding light of how that theater was designed and getting it started with the political energy and the social energy and the energy from the community that really, and the philanthropic energy, let's not forget, that really made it happen. So I thank you for that compliment, but it really turned that right around and reflect that back to the community that built it, because it really is the community's theater. I know you have more to say about history. Can you say a little bit about the mission of the chorale? I don't know if you have a formal way of saying that, but just like when you get up in the morning and you think about Manassas Chorale, what is the driving impetus for the organization?
Well, our mission statement says that we want to provide enjoyable music of a variety of kinds for the Manassas community and beyond. But we also strive to improve the musical abilities of all of our singers. And so I would say it's a two-pronged mission statement, that it's for what we present, but it's also for each singer to improve his or her musical skills. And I have seen that over and over with people who have learned better vowel sounds, have learned to sight read. But even a third thing is the friendships that develop as a result of singing together, and how important that is right now with people reaching out to each other when we can't sing together, but maintaining those friendships.
The arts create community, as I said in the opening.
Absolutely.
That's a great example of it. This group has also traveled quite a bit. I mean, I know you already talked about going to Colonial Williamsburg. You've also gone to New York.
We have performed at Carnegie Hall twice. Both times were a thrill. And for the 10th anniversary of 9/11, we were asked to sing a piece called Memorial that Renee Clausen wrote at Hylton Center. And it was a little bit of a scary time to be there, but at the same time, we felt privileged to be able to honor all those lives on that 10th anniversary. And then we received invitations from a group called Perform International. They have a subgroup called Journeys with Joe that are led by our friend Joseph Martin. And those trips have allowed us to first go to Germany and France, then to Ireland, Wales, and England. And then 2 years ago to go to Germany and Austria. And the one where we sang in France, our first trip, they actually scheduled us to sing at the American Cemetery in Normandy on the 4th of July. Lots of folks go to the cemetery that day, especially expats who are living in France. And so we had a good audience. And at the end of the program, we had sung a lot of patriotic music. Someone said, "We have not sung the Star Spangled Banner yet." There's a huge American flag there, over 10,000 graves, those beautiful white crosses and stars of David. And when we finished singing the Star Spangled Banner, I don't think there was a dry eye. And when that popped up on our feed on July the 4th, people recalled that trip and said it was a moment that they would never forget. So
go ahead.
To put that kind of experience in people's hearts is something that you just can't put a price tag on.
Yeah, this would be a perfect time to hear our first piece of music, I think, which is a patriotic song. Tell us about the clip, and then we'll show the Manassas Chorale in action.
Sure. This was written by immigrant Irving Berlin. He actually had a little notebook where he put scraps of paper with musical ideas, and he actually wrote this years before, but it became popular in the 1940s, and this is Joseph Martin's arrangement of God Bless America.
All right, that was fantastic. Um, yeah, come on back, Becky. There, beautiful, beautiful piece. And I shouldn't let this moment pass without saying that after you told us all about those wonderful trips that the choir has done and all those meaningful performances, and then we saw that beautiful clip. How does one audition or join the Manassas Chorale?
We have 4 times throughout the year that people can join. That happens in late August to early September, right after our first concert in October, the first of the new year, and then after our Voices United concert. And we have 2 rehearsals that we call open rehearsals. You can come that night. We give you a folder. You can sing with us all evening long. And then if you decide you want to audition, we have a little packet we give you. It's just a 2-page piece, a CD to work with. And we try to make it as painless as possible. But we feel that it's important to let each singer be heard separately. And if their audition is a good one, and we try not to make that too hard, but yet we want to make sure of the quality of the singer, then they can join us starting that following week.
That's fantastic. And, well, that leads me right into the theme of Act 2 of our conversation, which we already touched on a little bit when you were talking about the mission statement of the chorale about education and training, and how it's about, yes, making beautiful music, but also music education and spreading the joy and the skill of making music together. Another thing that's, I think, really distinctive about the Manassas Chorale, as I've observed it over these last 10 years that I've known your work, has to do with your commitment to new music and living composers and living arrangers. And we just heard a piece by a famous old composer, but a living arranger, and so much of the work you do does feature living artists, which is not necessarily typical in the chorus world. So tell us a little bit about that and how you live up to that mission.
Well, we have felt that we wanted to have at least one event a year that can involve singers from the community that didn't have to audition to be with us. When we first started Voices United, I think we had about 60 singers. And this past year, we didn't get to give the concert. We had to cancel out because of the pandemic a little over a week before our concert. But we had 146 singers registered.
Wow.
That represented 30 choral groups and church groups, choirs. And they had come together for 7 rehearsals before we had a guest clinician to come in. So we work with a clinician to a steering committee of 3 of us to pick that music and then prepare it so that when the clinician comes, they can just put the polish on and do some nice nuanced things. We have had a variety of leaders to come in as the clinicians. Some of them have been composers and arrangers like Mark Hayes, Joseph Martin, Craig Courtney, Pepper Choplin, and Kenny Potter. And we've had others that have been college professors like Rollo Dilworth from Temple University, Constantina Tsolino and Eric Nelson, both who were college professors in Georgia, and Pearl Shanquan from Calvin College. And they have each brought their own unique style to what we do. Every year people say, this person was my favorite so far. And the next year they tell me the same thing.
Oh, that's great.
So their work has been inspiring and a great way to build community. But also, it's just outstanding that these people come to us. We don't have to go to them. They come for the weekend. We have Friday night and Saturday rehearsals and then do the concert on Saturday night. So that has been just a highlight of the year for us.
And that is so important, I think, to make us all aware that great music is being written all the time. I mean, we all know Handel and we all love Bach, and the classics are part of us. But the idea that this music is a living art form, and here are people right in front of us who are doing it, I think is just a great message.
Absolutely. And we work with those that are composers and arrangers each year to feature several of their pieces of music. Either the chorale sings them the first half or the Voices United Choir sings them the second half. Or both.
We had a question that popped in from the internet magically about the range of folks that you have in the choir. That if I were to put you on the spot, and could you tell me offhand the youngest to the oldest, without naming names, of course?
Right. Our youngest will be a high school senior, and we had a graduating senior this year, and we have all the way up to chronologically advanced folks in their 70s
Oh, that's
and
fantastic.
everything in between. And we feel that's been a strength of the group, that we are just a cross section of our community in terms of the age range as well, and the fact that we all love and appreciate music together.
Well, you were talking about Joseph Martin, and our second clip actually is a beautiful original piece of his. Can you introduce that for us, and then we'll play that beautiful tune.
Yes, it's called Song for the Unsung Hero. Was written by Joseph Martin, who has been one of our Voices United clinicians. And he did this to celebrate those who serve with courage and bravery. And when it was originally written, it would have been dedicated more to people that are serving in the military. But I think in the past 4 months, we have heard the term unsung hero over and over. And our definition of that now has changed to people that are keeping our country going, whether it's as a truck driver, stocking shelves, serving in a variety of ways. And so the song Sung for the Unsung Hero ends with a verse of My Country 'Tis of Thee. And so we dedicate that tonight to all our essential workers.
Terrific. Let's hear it. Beautiful. What a great piece. And I can't help but remarking that so many of your performances feature the accompaniment of an orchestra, which is, again, a really distinctive thing. How do you manage to get all those wonderful string and brass players and rehearse them so beautifully? I mean, it makes a complete sound. It's absolutely great.
Right. I think we have developed the relationship with all those performers over the years. And I know our trombonist, Patrick Gillespie, has been performing with me since he was a teenager at one of our county high schools. And we've seen a lot of our orchestra members get married and have children now and have a wonderful relationship with them. Many of them are local teachers in our school systems and private teachers. And there was a young man playing percussion. Mike Syberts has been our percussionist for a long time, and he likes to mentor high school students who come alongside him and do the other percussion parts. And now with email being what it is, usually I can have the orchestra lined up in 2 days.
Oh, that's great.
And I will have orchestra players who say, I'd love to perform with the Manassas Chorale. Give me all the dates now. I don't want to say yes to anybody else until I have your dates. And that speaks well of what we do together. They are an integral part of our performances, and we appreciate each one of them and the talents that they bring to the table and add to our performances. We have had just 4 accompanists in the whole time that the chorale has been in existence. Jill Tomlinson, who now lives in Lynchburg, Diane Clark, who now lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, John Laird, who lives in Woodbridge, and now Christina Schenk, who lives here in Manassas. And we've been blessed to have all of them add their musical talents as well.
Such an important role in the shaping of a choral group is the conductor and the accompanist, and that relationship. It's amazing. And just for anybody out in the listening audience who is a fan of choral music but maybe has not heard the Manassas Chorale in situ, as it were, at the Hylton Center, the sound is absolutely beautiful. Merchant Hall is an acoustically pristine, bright hall that transmits both instrumental music and vocal music really beautifully to the entire envelope of the approximately 1,200 seats that we have there. And the sound of the orchestra and chorus together is really thrilling. So if you haven't joined us for a live concert, when we get back to business, make sure you do. That's our little commercial for tonight. So we're moving into the third act, or the third movement of our conversation. And although it's not fun to talk about, I think we should talk about the present moment a little bit, and this, the difficulties that this pandemic has thrown at all of us, and how some of the inventive things that you have done with the chorale to help get us through this. And then I'd like you to spend just a few minutes before we hear our last piece of music talking about the future, where you see the chorale going.
All right. Well, over the summer, in order to maintain the friendships and just to have time to visit with each other, every other week we're having a Zoom session. We usually have 20 some of the chorale members who choose to do that on a Tuesday night at the time we would usually be rehearsing. And we just share things musically that we've listened to. This past week it was Hamilton and 4th of July concerts, but we plan to continue that every other week during the summer. And then when we would normally have our first rehearsal, the last Tuesday in August, which would be August 25th this year, we're going to begin 6 weeks of 4 different courses that you can take. I will be teaching 2 of those, and our accompanist, Christina, who is the choral director at Manassas Park High School and an excellent choral director as well as a keyboard person, she will be teaching the other 2 courses. I'm calling mine beginning to intermediate sight singing. We will start from the beginning. We have people in the chorale that have beautiful voices. They are much more ear learners than they are able to sight read, and they are wanting to do that better. We start with a sight singing example each Tuesday night, but this will give us an in-depth way to help them improve their sight singing skills. My other course will be called I'd Like to Buy a Vowel, based on Wheel of Fortune. And we will be talking about how to produce vowel sounds. And the really neat thing about doing that on Zoom is that I will be able to see each singer up close and personal and be able to say, make sure that you have the proper placement for this vowel. Exactly. So that nobody escapes with anything. But I think it can be a wonderful learning time. And then Christina's, she is going to do a class on better breathing ahead of time, how to produce a better choral sound through breathing. And then she's going to do a solfege one where you're doing the syllables, do, re, mi, and learning the hand signs for that. That is taught now in our school systems, and it helps young people learn the skill of sight singing in a different way. And so those 4 things will be available not only to our chorale members, but anybody from the community that would like to be a part of that as well. There will be a fee involved, but we would encourage people from the community that said, oh, I would love to be able to improve my sound. I sing in a church choir, or I sing in a band, whatever. We would invite them to join us starting that last Tuesday in August.
Fantastic.
And then we are going to use some choral pieces with each of the classes so that they are not only learning that particular skill, but they're applying it to several pieces of music, with the hopes that when the classes are over, then we'll have several weeks of virtual rehearsals and be able to put together a virtual mini concert that we will invite people to tune into and enjoy the pieces that we have learned to share with them. We realize that is a very complicated process. The people that know how to merge that and make it all into a beautiful whole say that it takes a long time to do that just with a short piece of music. But we have 3 people connected with the chorale that are already doing that, know how to do that, and we feel blessed that we'll have some folks right in our midst that will be able to help us with that.
That's so exciting. I really have come to really enjoy the virtual choir performances that I'm seeing around on the web. Some of it's astonishingly beautiful, and it's a different experience. But the one thing I'll pick up on what you said about when you were teaching your vowel sounds, to see the singers' faces up close is really interesting, and a good video editor can make all kinds of different pictures happen during that time. So that's really well. You have not let this pandemic stop you. So congratulations for that, and I see great things ahead. Do you have any sense? We don't know when we're coming back, actually, right? I mean, we've talked about bringing the Hylton Center back online in the spring season, and we plan to. But in point of fact, this virus could take us anywhere. But let's say that we are coming back in the spring like we plan. What's your first bill of fare that we'll be seeing live?
Well, we are hoping to be back for Voices United. The lady that was coming to direct us, Sigrid Johnson, just recently retired from St. Olaf's College, which is just known around the world for their beautiful choral music. Yeah. And the American Choral Directors named her as one of their legacy conductors. I think she was one of about 10 or 11, one of 3 women that were named to that. And so we feel privileged again to have her coming to us. Her brother has written a piece that will be premiered as a part of that. And so we are looking forward to having Sigrid Johnson coming. And again, we would plan to be singing in the community. Our spring concert that would be happening again late spring, late May, early June, we have titled Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. And again, pieces from a wide variety of styles and representing music from a number of decades.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm going to sort of sign us off here because we're going to close with a beautiful, rousing song that a lot of folks out there are going to want to sing along to. But I just want to say, Becky, it's been a pleasure to spend this time with you on the air, as it were, and to hear those wonderful excerpts from the Manassas Chorale, and to congratulate you and the members of the chorale on your growth and your excellence and your accomplishments, not only in Manassas and Prince William, but truly internationally. And wish you all the best for the coming season, and hope that we get back to it just as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Having said all that, can you set us up now for this clip that's going to take us home tonight?
Absolutely. And I don't want to start that clip without saying thank you to the Hylton Center staff and all of our board members and officers of the chorale who work very hard all year round and with you all to make all of this happen. Our last piece tonight is a celebration of America. It begins with a solo by Eric Dawson, who is the music teacher at Baldwin Elementary, City of Manassas Schools. It includes the full chorale and our orchestra singing this hit from 1984, written by Lee Greenwood. It celebrates the freedoms that we have. He wanted to especially mention 4 different parts of the country, so you'll hear that in what he wrote. We feel like this is a great way to end our concert time tonight and the interview time, and we appreciate this opportunity to share our music with you and hope that you will join us when we can sing again. This is God Bless the USA.
If tomorrow all the things were gone I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. An American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love